Chia Cheng accordingly unclasped the piece of jade from Pao Yu's neck and handed it to the two divines. The Buddhist priest held it with reverence in the palm of his hand and heaving a deep sigh. "Since our parting," he cried, "at the foot of the King Gang Peak, about 13 years have elapsed. How time flies in the mortal world! Thine earthly destiny has not yet been determined. Alas, alas! How admirable were the qualities thou didst possess in those days! By heaven unrestrained, without constraint from earth, no joys lived in thy heart, but sorrows none as well. Yet when perception through refinement thou didst reach, thou wentst among mankind to trouble, to give, to rise. How sad the lot which thou of late hast had to hear! Powder, prints, and rude stains thy precious lustre dim. How spars both day and night encage thee like a duck! Deep wilt thou sleep, but from thy dream at length thou'lt wake. Thy debt of vengeance once discharged, thou wilt depart." At the conclusion of this recital, he again rubbed the stone for a while and vented some nonsensical utterances, after which he surrendered it to Chia Cheng. "This object," he said, "has already resumed its efficacy, but you shouldn't do anything to desecrate it. Hang it on the post of the door in his bedroom, and with the exception of his own relatives, you must not let any outside female pollute it. After the expiry of 33 days, he will, I can guarantee, be all right." Chia Cheng then gave orders to present tea, but the two priests had already walked away. He had, however, no alternative but to comply with their injunctions, and Lady Feng and Pao Yu, in point of fact, got better from day to day. Little by little, they returned to their senses and experienced hunger. Dowager Lady Chia and Madame Wang at length felt composed in their minds. All the cousins heard the news outside. Tai Yu, prior to anything else, muttered a prayer to Buddha, while Pao Chai laughed and said not a word. "Sister Pao," inquired Xiao Chun, "what are you laughing for?" "I laugh," replied Pao Kai, "because the thus come Joss has more to do than any human being. He's got to see to the conversion of all mankind, and to take care of the ailments to which all flesh is heir, for he restores every one of them at once to health, and he has as well to control people's marriages so as to bring them about through his aid. And what do you say? Has he ample to do or not? Now, isn't this enough to make one laugh, eh?" Lin Tai Yu blushed. "Tch!" she exclaimed, "none of you are good people. Instead of following the example of worthy persons, you try to rival the mean mouth of that hussy." As she uttered these words, she raised the portiere and made her exit. But reader, do you want to know any further circumstances? If so, the next chapter will explain them to you. Chapter 26. On the Fian Bridge, Chao Hong makes known sentimental matters in ambiguous language. In the Shaoxiang Lodge, Tai Yu gives, while under the effects of the spring lassitude, expression to her secret feelings. After 30 days of careful nursing, Pao Yu, we will now notice, not only got strong and hale in body, but the scars on his face completely healed. So he was able to shift his quarters again into the Garden of Broad Vista. But we will banish this topic, as it does not deserve any additional explanations. Let us now turn our attention elsewhere. During the time that Pao Yu was lately laid up in bed, Chia Yun, along with the young pages of the household, sat up on watch to keep an eye on him, and both day and night they tarried on this side of the mansion. But Xiao Hong, as well as all the other waiting maids, remained in the same part to nurse Pao Yu, so he and she saw a great deal of each other on several occasions, and gradually an intimacy sprung up. Xiao Hong observed that Chia Yun held in his hand a handkerchief, very much like the one she herself had dropped some time ago, and was bent on asking him for it. But she did, on the other hand, not think she could do so with propriety. The unexpected visit of the bonze and Taoist priest rendered, however, superfluous the services of the various male attendants, and Chia Yun had therefore to go again and supersede the men planting the trees. Now she had a mind to drop the whole question, but she could not reconcile herself to it. And now she longed to go and ask him about it, but fears rose in her mind lest people should entertain any suspicions as to the relations that existed between them. But just as she faltered, quite irresolute, and her heart was thoroughly unsettled, she unawares heard someone outside inquire, "Sister, are you in the room or not?" Xiao Hong, upon catching this question, looked out through a hole in the window, and perceiving at a glance that it was no one else but a young servant girl attached to the same court as herself, Xiao Hui by name, she consequently said by way of reply, "Yes, I am. Come in." When these words reached her ear, Xiao Hui ran in, and taking at once a seat on the bed, observed with a smile, "How lucky I've been! I was a little time back in the court washing a few things when Pao Yu cried out that some tea should be sent over to Miss Lin, and Sister Hua handed it to me to go on the errand. By a strange coincidence, our old lady had presented some money to Miss Lin, and she was engaged at the moment in distributing it among their servant girls. So soon as she saw me get there, Miss Lin forthwith grasped 2 handfuls of cash and gave them to me. How many there are, I don't know, but do keep them for me." Speedily, then opening her handkerchief, she emptied the cash. Xiao Hong counted them for her by 5s and 10s at a time. She was beginning to put them away when Xiao Hui remarked, "How are you, after all, feeling in your mind lately? I'll tell you what, you should really go and stay at home for a couple of days, and were you to ask a doctor round and to have a few doses of medicine, you'll get all right at once." "What are you talking about?" Xiao Hong replied. "What shall I go home for when there's neither rhyme nor reason for it? Miss Lin, I remember, is naturally of a weak physique and constantly has to take medicines. So were you to ask her for some and bring them over and take them, it would come to the same thing." "Nonsense," rejoined Xiao Hong. "Are medicines also to be recklessly taken? You can't go on like this forever. You're besides loath to eat and loath to drink, and what will you be like in the long run?"